It was approximately roughly close to 4 o'clock in the morning. They had some people out of power down in Wilkes-Barre. We arrived at the Wilkes-Barre Service Center and we met up with the trouble man from Wilkes-Barre, and we were looking for some underground maps to decide what vaults or manholes we had to get into to do some switching to restore these people. I would go down into the vaults to do the switching, and Chuck, being the top man, he stayed on top of the vaults.
I knew that you were going out with Chuck that night, so I was not concerned.
Finally, we came to the last vault, and there was only 2 switch moves in the vault that I was in. When I closed the switch in, something malfunctioned, and the switch literally exploded. It was an oil-filled switch, and I could just feel my legs getting saturated. And it all happened so fast. And then from the explosion in the vault, it blew me up against the one wall, and there was just a big ball of flames, and it completely ignited me. I remembered the position I was in the vault, that I had to go back through the flames again to get to the other side of the vault. And Chuck was there, and he just kept yelling to me. And he couldn't see me, but he just kept yelling. And then finally, he saw me coming to the other side of the vault, and he just kept yelling at me to keep climbing up the ladder, which I did. So when I got to the top of the ladder, there was another closure at the substation, which ignited another explosion in the vault, which kind of blew me to the ground. I just kept rolling around on the ground while it was fully ignited, and Chuck took his jacket off, trying to douse the flames on my legs, and when he did, well, naturally I kept rolling, and the jacket kept falling off, so he was trying to put it on top of my body to my legs, and then I just yelled to him to run to the truck to grab the fire extinguisher, which he did. And he finally put the flames out, but most of the damage was done at that time.
I guess it was around, I'm going to say between 4 and 5. I really don't recall what time, but I do remember someone being at the door, and I opened it, and your boss was at the door. He had come to tell me that there had been an accident. I knew that if there was an accident and someone came to the door, it was probably not good. So it was horrifying. So in the emergency room, Leo was in the bay, and they had done the initial preparations with him. I told him he would be okay, and he shook his head no. And that was devastating.
The first time I met the Woelkers, Leo was actually in critical condition in the burn center, and so of course I met his wife, Mickey. And she, even though he was so gravely ill and we weren't sure whether or not he would survive, she had sort of this grace and this peace about her that were really different than the average patient's family that we experience. Michelle just sort of immediately almost knew how to batten down the hatches and move forward and sort of prepare her family to go through this lengthy recovery. And we don't see very many families that have that sort of innate ability to do that.
It's a difficult thing to have your children visit their father. When they last saw him, he was whole, everything was fine. And all of a sudden they walk into a trauma room and they have someone say to them, "This is your father." And they can't tell that that's their father because he's all wrapped up. It was very frightening to them.
The staff was really great about helping them feel comfortable, just even being in the room and learning to to understand what they were seeing. Now his oldest daughter is actually in school to become a physical therapist, and some of that relates to what she experienced and learned as just a 14-year-old when her dad was going through this.
Essentially, everything was kind of standard care for us except his legs. They were so badly injured that we were not sure that we could save them. And we ended up just kind of plowing forward and basically telling them every day that it could end this way or that way.
The wait time for the healing is incredibly long because we never know which way that things are going to go. They go about in a direction, and you just have to be patient. And if you're not patient, it doesn't matter. You have to be. There is no choice.
I remember I woke up, I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't walk. It was a long struggle, but I was determined to get back whatever I could, to get to be able to do whatever I could, even trying to walk, even trying to stand at first. But it was a long road.
Both Mickey and Leo are SOAR survivors, which stands for Survivors Offering Assistance in Recovery. And as peer supporters, they are trained to go in and visit current survivors and caregivers and provide hope and encouragement and sound advice about what may be ahead or what may be helpful for the current and new family and individual in the situation of a burn injury.
When we were visited by the hospital volunteers while he was still in a comatose state, and they came to speak with me, Charlotte, and little Leo, at that time when I saw the former patient standing tall and his wife next to him, that was the moment where I thought, if we get out of this thing, if we are able to move out of here, I'm going to help somebody like this someday, because they really gave me some strength.
Yeah, it was a long road, but we were at one of the World Burn Congress. We went through the SOAR program there, so that when we were finally able to help somebody, that they could depend on us. You know, I wasn't awake at the time, but she told me how much hope she really had by talking to somebody that actually went through it. So, yeah, we decided we were going to, try to help somebody else.
They're this great power couple in the burn survivor community, and they really represent the teamwork required to get through this type of injury from everybody in the family. But they also bring these own individual perspectives that I think are really important.
Leo has probably been in every single one of our SCAR studies. He is just voicing over and over again that he wants to participate in these studies because he wants to advance the science and the opportunity that other people will have that hopefully will come out of these studies.
The Woelkers family is a great example of how Leo was injured, but that the entire family had to recover together. They had to renegotiate roles in the family, and they had to examine what their future looked like and what their plans would be in light of how this type of injury changed everything.
We try to keep things normal. People try to help keep things normal, but it just isn't. And at some point you have to say, all right, it's just not the way it was anymore. Let's just fess up and say that's so, and then try to move on from there. And we did our best.
It wasn't just my journey. It was really the whole family's. And it's definitely just not the burn survivor. It's definitely the whole family that's affected.